So, guys, God had dropped on my spirit a couple of days ago about invading spirits, and I didn't move forward on it, but I want to share this with you really quick, okay? I need you to understand that you need to be careful about the company you keep. And it's cliche, you guys have heard me say it before on other recordings, but I need you to understand the reason I say that is I'm talking about in an explicit way. I'm talking about way, right? Sometimes we're walking around and we're wondering why we can't seem to get a bearing on our emotions. We're wondering why we can't seem to get stability in our mental, in our thoughts. And our mental is a little shaken, right? But I had something to happen that God pointed out to me when it came to a couple, a married couple, and they were divided, so divided, and God brought it to my attention. And I heard the Holy Spirit say, that it was impossible for her to forgive him because she had invading spirits, right? She had spirits that she did not give permission to be inside of her, to come inside her temple because of the things that her husband had did, right? So what I need you guys to do, I need you guys to pray against invading spirits. I need you to pray against spirits that you didn't give authority inside of you. I need you to pray that God breaks the yoke over your life, right? That He break the yoke over your life, over spirits that are not a part of you. That He cleanse you from the inside out. Listen, guys, when I tell you that this is real, when I tell you that this is actually a real thing. So, what you need to do, you need to do a fast, right? You need to pray, and you need to do the fast for at least 7 days. Do the fast, nothing but water, okay? So that God can cleanse you. And if you want to do anything else, just do fruit, right? Do some fruit, right? Because what happens is that we wonder, like, why we can't hear from God. We wonder why we can't have God to show up clearly in our lives. Well, listen, the Bible tells us that God dwells in a clean temple, right? He can't dwell in a temple where there's all this confusion, all this mess, all these different spirits. Because what does the devil do? He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And so these spirits that are not of God, these lustful spirits, these greedy spirits, these dominant spirits, these lustful spirits, anything that is not of God, right? It would wear on your spirit. That's why you have to be careful what you look at, what you see, what you talk out your mouth, what you allow in your atmosphere. Because listen, that's who God is. He's a clean God. He's a holy God. And you must present yourself holy before him, right? So because he's that, you can't have the opposite spirits dwelling on the inside of you and think that you can develop a great relationship with God, right? You can't have everything in your space and thinking that you can hear from God. You can't have anybody speaking in your ear and letting anything and everything go in your ear gates, your eye gates, and think that, and what you put in your body, and you think that God can speak to you. If you want to hear from God, you got to set yourself up in a position to be in a place to hear from God. That means that you got to cleanse yourself. You got to cleanse your atmosphere so that God can speak clearly and you're not being confused about what it is that God is saying. We have these bipolar attitudes because we got everything going on, but we're not trying to be in a place where we can hear from God. So put yourself in a position where God can speak to you. And if you want to hear God clearly, start from the inside out. Cleanse your body, cleanse your temple. Do what you got to do so that God can speak to you. That means that if you got to fast. If you got to get by yourself in your prayer closet, get by yourself in your prayer closet. If you got to get somewhere where there's not a lot of noise and confusion, then do that. If you got to cut people off, cut people off. Do what you got to do to get to God. Come on, somebody, because God has already loved you first. See, a lot of times we sit here saying God left us. God didn't hear us, but God heard you. It's just that you got to put yourself in a position where God can speak, right? Put yourself in a position where God can speak, and then God can use you. So put yourself in a position where God can speak to you. So what I need you to do, I need you to understand that this isn't just about the people around you. This is also about the company that you keep, right? if you want to grow closer to God, then get you some people that's in the church. I'm not saying that, or I should say some people that has a spiritual relationship with God. I'm not saying you can't hang with the people on the outside, because that's what God did. We got to get outside of the church so that people can see us and hear us and know what God is saying. So I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that you got to protect your space and you got to be in a position where God can use you. So I got to go. I just want to share that with you guys. And don't forget, right, when I say from the inside out, I mean cleanse your spirit. Watch what you put in your bodies. That means what you smoke, what you eat, what you ingest, all of that stuff. You got to start from the inside out, because God dwells in a clean temple. And believe me, once you begin to cleanse up your body, you begin to cleanse up the way you move. You begin even clean your atmosphere, clean up where you're at, because demons love to be in clutter, right? Because clutter is a sign of confusion. So clean all of that up and watch your relationship with God, and it increases and it gets better. This is Dr. Michelle. You guys have a blessed one. Bye.